Hello everyone, welcome to HashiTalks 2023. I hope you are doing great today. Alright. My name is Bervianto Pratama. You can call me Leo. Also, you can call me Bervi. I'm a software engineer. Mostly, I use backend. Yeah, I have been working about more than 3 years in my early career as a backend developer, and also in 2021 I become a software engineer. I'm also a AWS community builder. If you want to know more about AWS community builders, I suggest you visiting the website. If you want to connect me, you can visit my LinkedIn page with the name Bervianto Pratama. You can also follow me at Bervianto Leo in Twitter. Alright. Today, I'm going to talk about getting started with Minikube in Vagrant. Have you ever used Minikube or Vagrant? Don't worry, we will learn about it today. Yeah, as a simple sentence, we will try to create an isolated Kubernetes development environment. If you still don't know what about it, we will learn today. First, what is Vagrant? Why Vagrant? Vagrant is a tool for building complete development environments. Usually, we develop a software using some environments, right? We have development environments or staging and production. Yeah, sometimes we also have some local environments that's in our laptop or computer. This is why you need to start with Vagrant. Second things, what's Vagrant? Vagrant is a tool for building and managing virtual machine environments in a single workflow. So, have you ever wondered to setting virtual machine manually? It will be hard, right? Yeah, Vagrant also has a command line utility for managing the lifecycle of virtual machines. We may forget what tools that we have set up in our virtual machine. We may forget about the application, about the configuration. That is why we need Vagrant. The last thing, Vagrant is isolate dependencies and their configuration within a single disposable and consistent environment. So you can easily provision or create the virtual machine. You can also easily to destroy if you already not use it. Okay, we need to know some terms. First, we need to understand what is boxes. Boxes are the package format, the Vagrant environments. We can call boxes like templates. If you want to write some emails to many people, but with different name, yeah, we can just use the template. We use template to fill the subject, maybe, or the body, and we need to change the name. We can use email template. That is boxes. Boxes like template. But boxes require a provider. So what is provider? Provider is like a host or a target where we need to deploy the Vagrant. Sorry, we need to deploy a virtual machine. Some providers, as example VirtualBox or Hyper-V, we can use it. Other than that, we need to know about Vagrant file. Previously, I mentioned about configuration file. So the configuration file is Vagrant file. We use Vagrant file to define our virtual machine. We define the specification and how to run it and how to set up the virtual machine. And you also define a box that we will be used. So, in this simple sentence, Vagrant file is a configuration file that will be used by Vagrant. All right. The next is, what is Minikube? Minikube is an utility or command line to deploy or provision a local Kubernetes cluster. You might be wondering, what is Minikube? What is Kubernetes cluster? It's okay, don't worry. If you want to getting started more, you want to hands-on about Minikube, I suggest visiting this website. Minikube have many drivers, if you can call it, like providers. We will define where the Minikube, the Kubernetes cluster. We define where we will deploy the Kubernetes cluster. As example, we define Docker or maybe VirtualBox. You may use any driver, but today we will use Docker. And Minikube also have runtimes. The runtimes where the containers will be run. As example, you have a application, and the application you store into a box, and you will use that box to deploy into another machine. That is container. Let's move on. I will not to explain more about Kubernetes or Minikube. I hope you learn more about it after this session. First, I already mentioned about Vagrant file. This is our first step. We need to create Vagrant file. First thing first, we need to initialize the Vagrant file. How? We use Vagrant init, but don't forget to install the Vagrant CLI. We need to install the Vagrant CLI so we can use Vagrant command. This command will generate a Vagrant file, so you can configure the Vagrant file, and you will use that to provision the virtual machine. And we need to define our box. So we need to define the template. We used Ubuntu JME64. JME64, it's like version. It's a codename. Ubuntu JME64 refer to Ubuntu 2022.04. Alright. And we need to define the IP. We will use this IP to access our virtual machine. Yeah, we can use this IP. Maybe we'll define it for you. Feel free to setting up this IP, use another address. After that, we need to define the virtual machine specification, like the memory. I will use 2 GB. Feel free to have more memory. You can use 4 GB or more. Basically, you can configure the CPU or like the storage and other things. Alright, this is the main things that we will need. Okay, we need to define VM provision shell. In this stage, we will use inline shell. First, we need to install Docker. In the first line, sudo apt-get update what is this command? This command to update your software list. So we have two software lists. In the first, in our local or our computer, and we also have the software list in the server. We need to sync the software list. So we need to update our list with the server list. So we need to know there is some software updates or some version already changed. We need some sudo apt-get update. Next line is just install some tools. Yeah, to download like curl. We use curl for download some file. Next. For the next, make clear. We use this to create a folder with the name K-rings. We will use this folder to store our key and yeah, this is like many lists of the keys that we already know. In the next line, we'll download the key from Docker and we register this key as known keys. Maybe you're still wondering what is the keys? Yeah, basically we will have two keys. First, the private key. Second, the public key. The private key will be used for sign the package or just the message. After we sign the message, yeah, we package the message. We pack the message. We send to the customer or to the user, and the user will use the public key to open the message and verify the packet is valid. That's how the keys work. In the next line, we will register the Docker repository because as default, we have Ubuntu repository. We need to add Docker repository before install the Docker because the software release up about Docker and the updated Docker in the Docker repository. Next, we will update it again because we need to know the software list from Docker repository. The final, we will install the Docker. So the container D, maybe you want to know what is Docker CE. Docker CE is Docker Complete Edition. You can use this one for development environment. After that, we need kubectl. Kubectl is a client, command line client, to communicate with Kubernetes cluster. All right, let's move on. This is different things. We install Minikube using a package directly. Like this script, we download the Minikube latest version, and after that, we install directly. Maybe it's really different with Docker. Docker, we use apt-get, we use repository, but this one, we use a standalone package, so we can install without know the repository. It might really depend the provider. As example, the Minikube just give you the standalone package, but do not have any repository, so you need to install from the package. All right, next. So don't forget, we need to start the cluster. You start the cluster using Minikube start with the driver Docker. We use Docker as our driver. And what is force? Force is just like we need to run the cluster in the root user. Maybe you don't know about the root user. The root user just as an administrator can use your computer and setting up your computer at the highest level. But I will not recommend you to set up the Minikube for your production using root, because if someone hack your computer, it might be disaster. So it's not best practice using root, but why we use root today? Just to simplify the configuration. Because if you use non-root, it will have many configuration and might be confuse you more. All right. After that, we need to deploy our application. This use case, I will deploy Nginx. Nginx just like web server, will host the server, it will host a website. Yeah, different application maybe will have different configuration. As example, if you want to deploy a database, you need to configure it. Yeah, maybe you have application that run in PHP or Java. You need to install it. and we need to expose the Nginx with service. Maybe you're wondering, what is service? Service is like a gate, one gate that will direct you or your request to the containers. So a deployment will give you some containers, like the previous. We deploy a Nginx deployment. They will provision some containers, and if you want to communicate with the container, yeah, you need to service. You need to call service. The service will direct you to some containers that is available. All right. And the last thing, if you want to provision the virtual machine, you need Vagrant app. Vagrant app will make the virtual machine, will create the virtual machine, configure it, configure the IP address, configure the application in here. After that, if the Vagrant app finish, we can jump into the VM. We can access the VM using Vagrant SSH. After that, because we cannot access the private IP address in the virtual machine, we need to expose the port to the 0.0.0.0. All right, I will demo about this Nginx. First, we already learned the first thing. We need to set up the box. I already set up the box using Ubuntu JME 64. Also, I set up the IP address, and then I also set up the memory. Maybe we will try to learn about another option like sync folder or other things. Yeah, we can see I already set up the Docker in here, and also the kubectl, Minikube, and start the Minikube, and another thing. All right, let's try to jump into our virtual machine. Yeah, it sometimes take more times. All right, we are ready in the virtual machine. If you want to check the cluster, you can check with sudo minikube status. Yeah, it takes a long time. I think we'll cancel it. Other things, if you want to try access the Nginx from our VM, we can try. We already get the URL. We try. Yeah, you can see this is the Nginx. And we cannot see the layout, the web page. If you want to access this Nginx, we need to port forward. All right. This is ready. We need to access the VM using this IP. Next example. All right, we can access it. Anyway, we also can access from the browser. Here is it. Welcome to Nginx. Yeah, I just give you simple use case to set up the Minikube, set up the Kubernetes, and set up Nginx. But I hope you are not stopped here. I hope you have some hands-on to learn more the Vagrant, to learn more about Kubernetes, maybe Minikube. Yeah, I already show you about the access to Nginx from browser. All right, to sum up, we already learned about boxes. Boxes is like a template to create a virtual machine. We also use Vagrant file to configure our virtual machine, and yeah, we define some steps by step to create the virtual machine to set up the application. We also learn about Minikube to start a Kubernetes cluster, and we deploy a simple application in there. All right. Thank you for joining HashiTalks 2023. I hope you are learning something new, and also, yeah, have fun. All right. Thank you for joining. I hope you will learn more. If you want to connect with me, please connect in LinkedIn, Bervianto Pratama, or you follow me at Bervianto in Twitter. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.